Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today I'm joined by Gavin Frater in Florida. Gavin, good morning to you, or is it good afternoon now?
Technically, it's just gone into afternoon.
Right, okay, so good afternoon to you. You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good, man. And we've also got my mate, Dermot Ledwith. He's in Madrid. He's about 3 or 4 hours down the road in Madrid. Dermot, how are you, mate? Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Lee. Not so bad here in Madrid as well, as we're just moaning about the weather, weren't we? We sound like we're in the northeast of England, but it's not that bad. It's been raining today in Madrid, so yeah, not so bad.
The rain in plane falls mainly. Well, the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plane. I always get my jokes wrong on this podcast. Bloody hell. Anyway, never mind. Right then. So it was International Fans Day yesterday. It was great to see on social media like how many international fans travelled over. There was like Bulgaria, North America. There was South America, I think. There was Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, Italy. So there was a good variety of international fans there, and they were served up a load of shite, weren't they, to be honest, with a 1-0 defeat against Swansea. And us international fans who couldn't go over, we did a online meetup, which was canny, and Gavin and Dermot were both part of it. So did you enjoy it, lads, yesterday, the bit of banter that we had?
Yeah, I was enjoying it until I got a call from a client who said, let's go see this house. And then I turn up to the house and he doesn't turn up. So I was annoyed. I missed the second half of it. But yeah, what I was there for was good.
Did you charge him?
That was good.
Did you charge him, Gav?
No, I fired him.
You did a good job, Lee. You were keeping the Spaniards informed as well with the Spanish translation. It's tough to get everyone talking, but you got everyone with a bit of a time as well, have a chat and have a bit of patter, and it was good. It's good to see people from all over the world coming together and talking about moaning about Reggie Lebris's tactics.
Yeah, I think what was interesting about it is the amount of fans that we have that don't really have any connection to the club. Like there was the girl from Argentina.
Yeah.
Who, when she said that when she started talking about the fact that we used to have a player who played for them, I was expecting Medina or Arca because obviously I'm older. And then when she went Scott, I was like, oh, I forgot he even played for us.
Yeah, he was only there 10 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, it is nice to see that these like fans, and like to be honest, I didn't know much about their level of English, so it was nice to see that they actually kind of spoke good English and they made an effort, and they even tried to manage to understand Sean, because Sean's got a dodgy accent, hasn't
difficult. I love that kid, but Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, Sean, we love you, mate, but like your Geordie accent is a bit too much for the South Americans. Anyway, then, so we'll talk about the game.
Sorry, I've got to have I love Sean. Like me and Sean used to live close by before I moved to Florida. You realize he texts in Geordie as well, right? And if we sign a new player, he'll send me a voice text saying the name of the new player as Geordie as he can. Kid's crazy.
Give us an example.
I'm trying to think, but
how would he pronounce Scott?
So when we had Wes Brown, and I used to talk shit about Wes Brown and Johnny Evans and John O'Shea, because I just thought that for the level of professionalism they put into the club, their heads were always the first to drop, and I thought they were terrible servants to Sunderland. And so he's like, Wes Brown got prawned for a lot of own goals, and he'd do voice text, why, Wes Brown scores a new own goal.
Yeah, we've got I was talking about this new fella we've got, Enzo Lefebvre, yesterday, and then I listened to the commentary yesterday, and they're pronouncing it Lefebvre. So I'm getting it wrong as well. We're all struggling with these some of these foreign players sometimes, the pronunciations. There you go.
Wow, you live in Spain, you should know. Like fair is like, yeah, that's that pronounced like that, isn't it? Like Le, no, when you say like to read in Spanish, double L-double-E. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So fair.
I've got the Spanish. I haven't got the French. Enzo Lefebvre.
Well,
There you go.
they are quite similar in some things. But anyway, I'm struggling to find out how to continue now, Gavin,
Well,
after you shut.
we'll be talking about Enzo Lefebvre because for me, he's the only bright thing, at the moment coming back into the team and looking like he might be the only one who can give us a bit of spark in these playoffs that are coming up.
Yeah, well, hopefully, because we need it. Gavin, then the starting lineup came out. Justin told us yesterday online. Harrison Jones made his first team debut from the starting 11, and Tommy Watson was in from the start. I was a bit disappointed that these two lads were starting because I think that we need to play players who are going to be involved in the playoffs. And I don't think these two lads, once we get players back fit, these two lads aren't going to be involved. I think these two lads, if you're going to give them game time, plus 20, 25 minutes off the bench here and there. So I would have liked to have seen, yesterday, Leo Helder go left back, put Trey back at right back, and put Alan Brown in the middle. You know what I mean? Salis he's our player. He hasn't had a great time so far, but he's still ours till the end of the season, and he's got Champions League experience. And I think he's a player that plays in the position that we're really struggling for at the minute. Because as much as I like Dan Neil, I don't think he's got all the attributes to play that defensive midfield role.
I don't think he wants to play the defensive midfield role. He's playing the role because that's what the club's asked of him. So if you look at his natural game is that box to box midfielder, and he's not getting to do that. So I'm sure that there's some kind of frustration in there, and I'm sure he's adapted his game to do that kind of that holding midfield role. But I don't think, as good as he is, I don't think he's ever looked truly happy there.
Yeah, no, and Dermot, I mean, for example, for comparison, right? I watch Dan Neil closely every game, and I think as technically wonderful he is to see as a player, right? I just think that he's a bit too casual sometimes. He doesn't run around enough, if you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? As soon as I saw Salis came on yesterday, he was side to side, he was up and down, and he was basically getting around the pitch. Whereas I think Dan Neil kind of stays a bit more static.
I think Dan Neil's tired. I think he needs a rest. I think you're saying about. I mean, you can always look back in hindsight about what the starting 11 should be. You got an opinion there that that Watson shouldn't be playing or Harrison shouldn't be playing or because they're not going to be involved. But I think they've got to be resting people like Dan Neil and Chris Rigg because they're not getting the best out of them. They're not looking very fresh at all. Dan Neil will be in the starting 11 come this playoff semi-finals and come the playoff final. He'll be one of the first names on the team sheet, and Chris Rigg as well. And I think they've been overplayed. Chris Rigg's 17. Why is he starting every game now? Give him a couple of weeks rest before the big business begins at the end of the season. But yeah, it's hard to. We're in this funny position where. Our season's over, really. We're going to finish fourth. It didn't really matter what happened yesterday. And yeah, he's given minutes to players who he thinks could be involved in the final push at the end. So Harrison, I think, why not give him a start? But we can talk about Tommy Watson for hours, couldn't we, really, about whether he should be starting or not. But at the moment, he's all we've got.
But do you really see though, Dermot, that Harrison Jones and Tommy Watson will be involved in the playoffs? Because I don't. Because in a few weeks' time, we've got Sirkin, Elise, and Ballard who are back fit apparently in a 2 or 3 weeks' time, and then we've got Mundell should be fit for the playoffs. Add to that, I think Jensen sealed as well. So I mean, with those players back, and you got Salis back on the bench yesterday, potentially Abdullahi, because according to Rob Mason, that the podcast did with Rob Mason last week, he's like. He reminds me a lot of Kenwyne Jones, he said. So he said that he's a real talent. So I think that these two lads, Watson and Jones, if they're going to play now, I'd just like give them cameos off the bench rather than giving them minutes from the start. I don't know. What do you think?
You may argue for all sorts of different combination players that could have played. But I don't know why Alan Brown's played full back, really. But he might have to fill in there, mightn't he? He might have to play there if Certain isn't back. Someone was saying yesterday on the podcast, rest Patterson. I don't think Patterson needs a rest. I think he just needs to be playing. He's our goalkeeper. Dan Neil's going to start. We know who the starting 11's going to be, but I think a lot of these players need a rest. It's frustrating.
I think if
Go
you
on,
look at
sorry.
if you look at the everybody fit, you know who your starting 11 is. It's Patterson, Hume, Sirkin, Mepham, and I'd go Ballard over O'Nien, but O'Nien if you want. It's going to be Rigg, Neil, and Bellingham with Mundell, Roberts, and then Isidore on my end. So
Well, I think you got.
you
I think
know
you
who
got
your
that in the
core
thing, innit?
is, but look, I can see the point of giving Jones his debut. It's a nothing game. The next 4 are nothing games. I can see. I think because I'm a little bit more departed away from kind of the day to day. Like I look at it purely from a transactional perspective. You're paying his wages. He's in a position you need him to play, so you start Watson. And he's the only naturally left-footed attacking player we have that will play that position as a natural. I don't care that he's already signed another contract for another club starting next season. As long as he gives his all for the team right now, you play him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an interesting one because according to the Sunderland Echo yesterday, he got booed by some fans as well. So
Yeah, but we've got some right.
I think I predicted that on the. I predicted that would happen on the call before the game because our home fans are like at times, and a lot of people don't like the fact that he signed for another team already, and but I think it's probably something that it's being revealed, but it's something that happens every season. We just don't find out about it. But it is a bit strange that it's out in the open, and he's got to be careful because if he's not seen to be trying, the fans are gonna get on his back, and that's not good for him or good for the team.
I don't think he had a bad game yesterday. I mean, I think his opportunities were limited because, for whatever reason, as a club, we've just slowed down our attack to a walk. Now, the only person I saw trying to burst through and trying to create was Roberts on the right, and there's so little movement ahead of him that he's having to do the side to side on the pitch.
yeah, no, it's an interesting one because I think like Watson, he's not ready to start games either at this level. I don't think him or Jones are. So I think they're kind of put into a position where it's very difficult for them. And obviously, with Watson being announced that he's leaving, I think there's like a lot of pressure on him as well now. And a lot of fans saying that he doesn't care. I don't know if he doesn't care, but I mean, it's just that I don't think he's good enough to start games at this level.
Can we just stop with whether or not a player cares? Right?
Yeah.
This is not 1960s, 70s, and 80s where you had a whole load of homegrown players who played for the shirt. It's modern football. It's a business. Just the same way that when we go to work on a Monday morning, you're not getting customers. Like if you work at Woolworths, so you work at, I don't think Woolworths exists anymore, but if you work at Walmart and like no one's going home and going on a message board, oh, I had a really bad experience at the deli counter. I think this guy who sliced my meats off to Target and I think he doesn't care anymore. Like, no, just stop. Like it's a played out, it's old, it's not relevant anymore. If you're being employed by someone and a bigger company comes in for you, and let's be honest, whether or not we like the fact that Brighton is an established Premier League team and probably established top half team, they're bigger than we are right now. They're a bigger draw. So when a bigger club comes that can put you on a much bigger stage, your head's going to get turned. And I can understand wanting to make the move. We've all quit jobs to go to better jobs. I just think that there's such a viciousness of football fans who can't separate the career of a footballer with a passion for their team. Like, yeah, look, when you go to a favorite burger spot or you go to a favorite restaurant and the server that you like to sit with goes and works somewhere else. Yeah, look, it's not the same, but you move past it. I think so. I think football fans need to kind of get a little bit of a dose of reality at times and understand that, yeah, whilst you're passionate about this club, this person's looking after their career interests. And for whatever reason, Watson's made the decision that he's going to have a better career long term if he makes the move to Brighton. Time will tell if he's right or not.
Yeah, time will tell, absolutely. Right, well, I think we'll move on from that then. So, I don't think there's anything else to
I
say.
think I think well, I agree with you, Gavin, as well. But I would just say that Watson's decided that he's getting more money at Brighton than what Sunderland have offered him. So if Sunderland haven't offered him or been in a position to give him the same amount of money as he's going to get at Brighton, then it's natural he's going to go, and that's what he's doing.
But we
But
don't
yeah,
make those same decisions for our family. Like for me, I'm a real estate agent here in America. So I moved from a company that took 20% of everything I made to a company that takes nothing. So if I make $100,000 in a year, I'll walk away with 80,000 working for this one, or 100,000 of it working for this one. I made the switch not because I didn't believe in the mission statement or the company I was working for, but because an extra $20,000 in my pocket a year is well worth the change. So I'm never gonna criticize somebody other than Ivan Toney for going to Saudi Arabia. For going for more money for doing the same job.
All right then. Well, fair enough. We'll leave that there. We'll park it to one side. Right then.
We'll not criticize him. There you go.
I'm not. I just said like what the papers have said. Anyway, so listen, it was a slow start yesterday. I mean, almost in the first minute, we almost conceded. They had a great chance, didn't they? But do you not think, Dermot, we've lost our identity a little bit? Like from the start of the season, the way we were playing with the high press. Now I just see it as like we've no identity and just like hopeful long balls, and we just don't have any kind of style of play anymore. Oh, Dermot, you're freezing, mate. So I'll pass that to you, Gavin.
Maybe we've established our priority. Look, I think when Speakman and KLD came in, the idea was that we'd play high press, fast football with defensive stability at the core of it. That was supposed to be the Sunderland way. And I don't know whether it's been because of injuries or just Lebris prefers a different style, but we've definitely stopped moving the ball quickly in attack. We were sitting back and counter-attacking on that press, which was great to watch. We've stopped doing that. The movement of the players seems to have become almost static. You're not seeing many runs, and they're definitely not spotting the runs. I think Isidore made a couple of nice ones that were just badly timed yesterday. So I don't know whether it's just we've had injuries and we haven't been able to enforce the style of play we want, or whether the business just said, look, I'd much rather just sit back and soak up pressure and nick 1 or 2 goals a game.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned there like the through balls. I mean, Isidore scored that disallowed goal, didn't he? And that's the type of balls that in behind that he wants. But we don't do it very often, do we not?
I think it's a statement on the modern game. I think if you look, there's a lot less skillful players now than I think there's ever been in the top flight and the top 2 flights. I think we just have a lot of really fit players that don't play particularly great football. We were talking in our private chat on the NASA group yesterday during the match, like just longing for a winger to go around the back of his fullback and whip a cross in. When was the last time we did that? I don't remember us doing that particularly to any great effect.
Yeah. Dermot?
I think the beginning of the season, what we were doing was playing a lot of triangles, moving up the pitch in triangular passing, and it was working, and it was really good to watch. And they were quick, and they were dynamic, and they were getting forward, and they were trying to attack all these things that we want to see. And it's just not happening at the moment. But you know, we've had a lot of changes in personnel. We have had a lot of injuries. We have had a lot of people coming in and out the team. We've just got to hope that, you know, that Mundell gets back, Lafay gets back. You know, these key players are firing on all cylinders in May in these playoffs, because, you know, we can get back very quickly. We can click back into place and find some good form. It wasn't too long ago when we were outplaying Burnley away from home and, those two penalties in the last minute against Burnley, that was when our season turned, I think, when he missed those two penalties. But we played great at Burnley, and that wasn't too long ago. And now Burnley are going up. The week
Right.
after that, we went to Leeds and we played very well, and we dominated Leeds for over an hour, and we were unlucky to lose it right at the end. So, I think we will raise our game again when we need to. I think we're in a funny situation at the moment with these games. We're giving minutes to players that, as you said before, probably won't be starting in the playoff semi-final, or perhaps in the playoff final. So yeah, we've just got to trust that we can get back to it. But yeah, definitely, we're definitely not in the form that we were in at the beginning of the season or at the turn of the year.
Yeah, Gavin, you made a good point there about those passing triangles that we used to play, especially like there was a lot of times when it was Hume, Rigg, and Roberts on the right hand side earlier in the season, which were very successful. Have they just been nullified now by the opposition, and we haven't got a plan B?
Um, so I didn't make the triangles comment, so I'm
That
not
was
going
me.
to take credit for that one. The biggest, I think we've been found out. I think teams know that if they cut off service to the flanks, we struggle to be able to pass it in the middle, especially when the ball goes into defense. If I was coaching a team to play against Sunderland, I'd be harassing the centre backs, hoping that they pass it back to Patterson, because he's got a foot like a 50 pence piece, and he can't control the ball. He loves to just stud it out a little bit, and he doesn't know how hard he's hitting it. And I think there's been multiple occasions this season where he's put us in danger. His distribution's not great, and I like him as a goalkeeper, but I think we slow the play down to the point where we welcome pressure on, and we put ourselves under undue pressure. Whereas at the beginning of the season, as you said, on the right hand side, we had Hume, Rigg, and Roberts knocking it around in nice little triangles. You had Bellingham working with Sirkin and Mundell, and it was looking nice. And for whatever reason, we've kind of abandoned that quick passing, pass and go kind of mentality, and adapted what is dour to watch. Now I know on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, the last few weeks, we've had our disagreements. Like, I haven't cared about performances. I just wanted the results. Well, we got the result last week. That meant we were guaranteed the playoffs. So this week should have been the first week of, okay, let's get back to playing some nice, quick, attacking football. Let's go back to that high press, and let's see which players we've got that aren't in the team right now are going to be good enough to take us through the 3 games that we're going to have in the playoffs, hopefully.
Yeah, and this high press that you mentioned there, Gav, I mean, for me, it's no longer coordinated. Like at the start of the season, we were winning the ball high up. Riggy was pressing, and there was a coordination to the high press. Now it's just so easy to get out for the opposing teams. So, which brings me on to my next point, Dermot, which is our lack of composure on the ball. It just seems that our players now are very scared, especially in the midfield, to receive the ball in tight spaces, and then it's basically we receive the ball in tight space, or we either get dispossessed or they go back to the defence, and then we hoof it upfield. So why have we suddenly become a team that's lacking composure on the ball? Is it just because of nervousness, confidence?
Lacking confidence, I suppose, and not having the team that we did have. I think we've suffered with injuries. I think we've suffered with chopping and changing. I don't think we do know what our best team is at times. I think players are tired. I think and Dan Neil doesn't look as composed on the ball. Chris Rigg doesn't look as composed on the ball as they were. Yeah, I mean, you've just got to kind of believe in the process and hope that we are getting some of these big players back. I think it's about getting performances out of Mundell and Laffy and Isidore and Mayenda, because we haven't scored. We're not scoring goals. We're not even creating chances at the moment. But they're all big players who can help us change it. So You know, you got to believe that we can improve and we can, as I said before, be back to that level that we were playing against the top teams just a couple of months ago. You know, it's a long season. It's 46 games or whatever it is, and we've been fairly consistent. But you know, also we've known for a couple of weeks now, and you know, we're going to be fourth. There's nothing we can do really. We can't go any higher, and we can't really go any lower now. It's almost mathematically impossible. So that does take 5-10% out of your game, I'm sure, at that level. I'm a bit, you know, worried myself because I'm going back next week. I'm going to Bristol City and I'm going to the game next Monday at home as well against Blackburn. I hope I get some entertainment and there is some improvement. And but I booked all this up in January when I was getting excited and thought, you know, Easter's coming and we could be in the mix for the top two. But in hindsight, I was completely wrong. There you go. But yeah, I think it's just a strange position to be stuck in fourth and not know, well, to know exactly where you're going to be.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned there, Gav, injuries, right? I mean, it is fair to say we have had our fair share of injuries, but I would say that at most times of the season, we have had the core of the team playing most of the time, with only one or two players out. I mean, Mundell was probably the biggest loss, I think. But
Yeah, he was flying when he went out.
yeah, but I mean, we struggled. Obviously we missed him very badly. But then of the other injuries, is there really anyone maybe apart from Sirkin who would get in the first team? I mean, obviously you like Ballard, but I mean, out of the injured players, are any
I
of them?
don't think it's so much that the injured players would dislodge their first team members. I think what it would do is give them a lot less minutes that they had to play. So if we had a Salas or an Alexic who could have came in before Christmas and kind of took some of that early season workload off Job and Rig, if Lafee hadn't got injured, he would have been one of the four of a central, or a core of five central midfield players that we could move in and out. We could have been able to bring off Rig earlier and put Lafee or Brown on. We could have given rests to Dan Neil and so the players wouldn't have as many miles on the legs in the middle of the park. Yeah, look, as far as left back and right back are concerned, I don't think whether you have Huggins back or Hjelder's fit all season, or even Alessi, I think you're still going to be Sirkin and Hume are going to be your core fullbacks. Yeah, I thought Mepham and Ballard looked fantastic together. And unfortunately, Ballard's had his injuries issues. And then if you look up front, yeah, Mundell went out at the worst possible time, but right behind him, you had Watson go out as well. So it kind of knocked the attacking threat that we had down the left. And I think even with Mundell having been back for the last couple of games, we still haven't got that dual flank threat that we had earlier in the season. I think we're very one-dimensional going forward. I think we're slow and laborious. And I think teams know they just have to put up two banks of four in front of us, and we're going to struggle to break them down.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because everyone's been saying on social media from what I've been reading that we play better when teams come at us. And yesterday, Swansea came at us. They played quite a high press, and we struggled. So I don't really know what if we play better against teams that sit back or if we do play better.
I think I think at any other point in the season, with the playoffs still on the line or promotion, or automatic promotion being an option, I think that would have been a different game. I think it's absolutely natural for the players out there right now to not want to get injured over the next 4 games on what are nonsense games for us because we're 12 points clear of Bristol.
Yeah.
We got a better goal difference. So unless we get tonked the next 4 games and they win them all, we're going to finish 4th. We're not going to get up to 3rd or 2nd. So it's like, why would you want to risk getting injured and missing out on the playoffs for a game that really has very little importance?
Yeah, we're fourth. That's it. There's nothing we can do. You know, I think the one injury that we didn't mention there was Lafee. He was, you know, he'd come in and within 2 or 3 games he was looking very good, playing out on the left. And if he'd had a bit of continuation, I don't know what game he got injured in. If we were still talking about maybe trying to catch the top two, but that knocked us sideways as well because I think he can become still a very important player, and he could be the guy that makes things tick, that gets us up. I'm thinking positively here. If we do get up, it's because he's going to start playing. Show to the back end. We'll see
Oh,
if he does. Can he get some goals?
I think
All
he went
these
out
they've
for
got to
what,
happen,
the
haven't they?
whole game?
what was that, Gav?
I think Lafayette got injured against Hull, if I remember right. So he
Possibly.
And
missed
that
he,
where
he missed he
we
missed 6, 7
drop
games
points at
total.
home.
And obviously he's betting back in, so effectively you lose him for 10 games before he's back up to full speed. If we'd
Yeah,
had him, even though he wasn't he's not a left winger, but like his touch, his vision, his ability to kind of get into space created so much opportunity for the players, and that's what we've missed. And with the best will in the world, Rig isn't that player who's going to open up teams the way that Lafayette did. I think Rig will be an amazing player down the line, but I think we're asking too much of a 17-year-old to play 40 plus games a season.
And in a position I don't think is his position because he's playing as a number 10 type of thing, and I think he needs to be playing a bit deep, like number 8 role. Well, I know that you don't like the numbers, but like a centre midfield. But
I'm
you know what I
old
mean?
school, dude. I'm nearly 50. So it's like, for me, it's like you have central midfielder, you have an attacking midfielder, you have defensive midfield there.
yeah.
And what?
It's the new way of describing it on the TV commentators talk like that now, which surprises me. He's an 8, he's a 10, he's a 6. I think Lafayette is a 10, and I think if we can get him playing there, he had a great cameo the other night against Norwich when the game was awful. He came on and he suddenly made us look like we were going to do something. He nearly scored at the end, but he only had 20 minutes. He had about 30 minutes yesterday. I wasn't even watching till he came on. I was like half disinterested. I had the game on, but I was doing other things, and then I saw he came on. He had half an hour. He showed a few touches, but I think it's all about getting him up to speed and getting him into the starting 11.
Yeah.
Uh, if
Gav.
that means Chris Rigg doesn't start, then
Yeah. Well,
go on.
no, I'm saying like Gav. Back to the match then, because we did have a penalty shout. Mayenda went down in the box. What were your thoughts on it?
Thought he went down easy. Like,
Yeah,
again, old school dinosaur here. Like, I think players get penalties for far too easy. But I think the bigger issue wasn't whether or not it was a penalty. It was another glaring example of how bad referees are in this division.
Hmm.
Like, there were a couple of instances where, yeah, we got fouled, but we were on the attack. I think there was one in the first half, particularly where Neela played the ball into space for Mundell, and the referee blew it back rather than letting play develop. No, I don't think it was a penalty, but
No. Okay.
I think the
Dermot.
referee was awful.
the reaction in the crowd at the time, kind of when it first happened, I thought it was a penalty, and then they showed us it about 2 or 3 times, and you couldn't actually see if there was contact or not. And I think, like Gavin, I think my end went down a bit too easily. And yeah, I mean, the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, did it? But it would have been nice to have got a draw. We're on a bit of a run now. We've gone 3 games unbeaten, and then we lost. But yeah, I don't think it was a penalty. And but I think my end is another of these big players who we need to get firing again and going past people and being dynamic and attacking and looking to create stuff, because he's another one who's on his day can make a difference.
Well, that's
You
another
don't
thing.
think, though, that's the fact that he keeps getting taken out of the lineup rather
Yeah.
than given a run? Like, every time he's come in and played regular minutes, he's done well. Like, yeah, look, neither him or Isidore are going to kind of lead the goal scoring charts. But I think Mayenda's done a fantastic job when he's come in and been needed to play up front. But then he gets pulled and then puts out on the right and then put out on the left. Like, I like to see him given real, honest to God minutes in a position that he prefers.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with me, and is I'm very surprised because he got those 2 goals against Sheffield away. He got a goal at home. I can't remember who it was against. But then he got called in the Spanish under 21 squad, so he was on a high, and all of a sudden he finds himself back out of the team. So I think that it's a bit baffling that they've taken a player who's like high on confidence out of the team and given them like a couple of minutes here and there. But what was I going
I
to
think
say?
he's almost tried to create a bit of competition between him and Isidore, just to like push each other to one of them to grab the number 9 shirt, if you like, or the centre forward position, because and I think it should it should work like that. One of those two should be the main forward, and if they're not performing, they get dragged off on 60 minutes, and we've got an alternative from the bench.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll go on to the post-match comments, Gav. Reggie Labrie said it's a disappointing result. We had a lot of possession, but it was difficult to create chances. They were well organised and stuck to their style. They played with an aggressive shape. It wasn't about keeping the ball. We did that, but we struggled to break them down. I'm surprised about that. Like we did that. We did keep the ball. I don't think we did. We have to manage the squad. Now he admits it. While the result wasn't what we wanted today, it was an opportunity for some players to get valuable minutes. They need these experiences to grow. When you're starting out, you're not yet at your best level, but they need our support. Yes, we are disappointed, but we've given players opportunities and we'll continue to do that to keep things fresh. That's the dynamic we want to build. We also have to stay positive. We've almost secured 4th place, which is great news, but we know the semi-final is the biggest test so far, and we need to be ready for it. So, Gav, anything stand out for you there surprising?
I mean, you mentioned that you didn't think we kept the ball well. I just pulled up stats from yesterday's game, and we had nearly 70% possession yesterday.
Hmm.
It didn't feel like that, definitely. It felt as though we were chasing the ball a lot yesterday, but that might just have been because of how poorly we passed it and how slow we were. So, like, honestly, the amount of times I wanted to turn over and watch the build up to the golf was crazy yesterday. But no, I mean, I look at his words and it's like, yeah, they play with an aggressive shape, even though but we just sat back and let them, like, and giving an opportunity for some players to get some valuable minutes. I think he did that all wrong. I would have rested Dan Neil, Rig to start off with, because you could have put Samed and Alexic in there. I'd have brought the on guaranteed at halftime, regardless of what the score was. Like, these are the games right now where, you know what, let's get back to our August, September style. Let's get players rested. Let's get new players in. We don't care if we win or lose these next 4 games. It's not really good, with the exception of maybe Bristol City, who are the only team who can catch us. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like these next 4 games is about testing things out. We can almost class this as pre-season for the playoffs. And this is when you do that. Like, okay, can we play a 4-4-2? Will that work? Okay, if we bring the fee in and put him in at the 10, does that work better than Rig at the 10? Like, these are the things we need to be trying out now, so that by the time Mundell comes back and Serkin's back, we know that they can slot into those positions. We know we've got 4 or 5 midfielders who can circle that, and we're playing that dynamic attacking style. But we've abandoned that for so long now that now performance is more important than results.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting one. What I find interesting is what he says here, we have to manage the squad. And he said, but we've given players opportunities and we'll continue to do that to keep things fresh. This should have been done a long, long, long time ago. At the start of the season when we were playing well, we were winning matches like comfortably by 2 or 3 goals in some cases. And he wasn't making any subs, or he was making subs like on the 85th minute. And obviously, because we've had injuries, the likes of Fjelde, the likes of Alexic, they're coming in now and they haven't had much match practice. So they're not going to be ready to do anything if they're going to start from the beginning. As we saw with Alexic during the week against Norwich, he had a terrible game and he was playing out of position. And the same with like Jones and Watson. Like, they haven't had a lot of game time this season. So I think he's managing the squad, but he's managing it very, very late, Dermot. What do you think?
Ali, you're right. I agree that we did criticise earlier in the season when we were going for top 2, when every game was important. We were playing the same players every week until the 70th, 80th minute, not putting subs on. But I said it at the time then, and I'll say it now as well. We didn't have the squad, and we don't have the squad. We don't have a big squad. We don't, this guy who started yesterday, Harrison Jones, is just a young kid who's coming in to make up the numbers. Tommy Watson has just been making up the numbers this year because he's 18 and he's not ready. We don't have the squad, so he is doing what he said. He's trying to manage the squad and rotate it. But as we said before, if you're starting Chris Rigg again yesterday and Dan Neil, I think we've all kind of said that today. We all agree that, I hope those two players are getting rested next week when I go to Bristol City. I don't want to see Dan Neil or Chris Rigg on the team sheet. I want them to be bloody with the legs up back in Sunderland waiting for the playoffs. So yeah, he has got
the telling thing in his defence for Lebris is we haven't been 2 goals clear going in the last 15 minutes of a game since August 31st. Well, we beat Pompey 3-1 and they scored in the last minute. So I think that's a bigger issue, is the fact that we haven't been able to, and again, this may just be because of the style he plays. We get one up and then we drop back, and I'm actually wrong. It was October 1st against Derby, we beat them 2-0. But we seem to get 1-0 up and then just kind of take our foot off the gas. And that's been I think our biggest issue. I think there's been times where, a lot of times this season, where we've gone 1-0 up, we've looked good going into 1-0 up, and it's like, look, go get a second, go kill teams off, and we haven't. And I think we've seen on a lot of results where we've conceded late on, where it's cost us quite a lot of points because we haven't kept that intensity going to get the second goal and killing teams off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's because we didn't have 5 or 6 players on the bench who could come on and contribute. I think he did have a small squad. I don't think he's being helped too much financially from the board, or from the owner. I don't think I don't think they've really had a real good go at it. They didn't really spend any money in January apart from bringing Lefebvre in. So he's doing what he said there. He's rotating the squad. He's trying to keep things fresh. Now that it doesn't matter, he can do that. But before when we still had a chance to get second, he was sticking with the same 11 or 12 players, and he was very stubborn in bringing players on because he obviously didn't think they were ready.
And I think I'd much rather see, for these next 4 games, I'd much rather see Neil and Rigg and Bellingham coming off the bench for minutes just to keep their match fitness up than starting.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with that. I think we should be starting them, but giving them 60 minutes and then take them off. Because I don't think the lads on the bench are ready to start. So I think they need more minutes from the bench. But I would keep the Neil, whoever, keep them on the pitch, give them 60, even Lefebvre, give them 60 minutes. Because if you give
Riggs the worry, right? Riggs 17.
Yeah.
Rigg, you're burning out an athlete who's 17. He should be starting. Dan Neil can probably start every game and play an hour. But Riggs a different case, I think. But yeah, I mean, I think he will rotate. Job will be back and he'll have to get minutes. You know what? They're all playing for the position as well, because it's that team doesn't pick itself when everyone's fit. When Job's back and Lefebvre's back and Rigg wants to start and Mundell's back as well. So they should be.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of that middle, that centre of the park where the 3 in the middle all season has been Rigg, Neil, and Bellingham. If you're playing Lefebvre in his best position and you've got Alan Brown in there as well, and that's 5 players who can theoretically start for you in any given week.
And Salisa that as well. Salisa's 6 as well, so if he's fit. But yeah, I mean, there will be some rotation because we've got Bristol City is it Friday, and then we've got Blackburn on the Monday, so there'll definitely be some rotation. I think in one of those games, he'll be playing a strong team, and the other game, he'll be playing. I think he'll play a strong team against Bristol City, and I think he'll play a weak team against Blackburn at home. So you might get your wish, Dermot. But anyway,
I hope I don't see
Bristol's the only team of that lot that have got anything to play for. I don't think Blackburn have got a chance of making the playoffs now. Oxford and QPR are both safe. They're not going down. They're not going up. So their players are hopefully on the beach already. So I think this is the last test for us on Friday. It's good. Is it Good Friday this week? I think so.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a good match. Hopefully, hopefully it's a good match.
But you said there, like, they've got nothing to play for, maybe on the beach. We would have expected that about Swansea yesterday, but they look kind of up for it as well. So, anyway, Dermot, we're going to go on to Isidore's comments. He looked really down in the post-match interview yesterday, as he has done in previous times when we've lost. It was tough. He said we were really disappointed about losing that game. We started well. I don't think I agree with that, but after we missed some tempo and some passes, also in our construction and in everything, we missed a bit of aggressiveness or aggression. But I think that's something that we can get better for the next 4 games. I just hope it's going to help us get better and better. And I think about my offside for the goal, it's a connection with my teammates. I'm trying to get the space every time, or they can drive in, or they can give me the ball. Today, the ref was really on it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I just can't say it's frustrating. Most important now is to keep fresh our group and prepare for the important game that we're going to have in May. So, Dermot, an interesting thing that I take from that is that we missed a bit of aggression from our player, and that's been also one of my main complaints this season that we are lacking a bit of a midfield enforcer. So, what do you make of Wilson's comments?
Yeah, he sounds a bit like what we've just been whittering on about for the last 30 minutes. You know, he's hoping that they all get stronger and get ready for the playoffs. And yeah, he did have that goal. That was a very fine offside decision. We've got to hope that he gets better. In a typical footballer way, he kind of downed his tools and lost a good 10% of his game as soon as he signed a new contract for us, didn't he? As soon as he became a proper signing and got his new contract, he's gone back. So he's a good player. We need him. We need him firing on all cylinders for the playoffs. So I hope he's listened to his own words. But yeah, lack of aggression. I don't know. I don't know if it's about aggression. I think it's lack of dynamic play, attacking, fast, quick passing play, more than aggression, I think. But yeah, I'd say, he's got to say something after a game, hasn't he? He sounds exactly just like what the three of us have been saying as well.
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page, Wilson.
Right. Gav, we've got Bristol City on Friday, Blackburn on Monday. What would you like to see from those 2 games in terms of performance, approach, players starting? What do you want to see?
I'll take a point against Bristol with a good performance, and then don't care about the remaining 3 results as long as we've got good performances and we're looking sharp. Like right now, it's not about results like it was earlier in the season where it's just making sure we're in the playoffs. Now it's about kind of like, okay, let's start getting those triangles back. Let's start getting that attacking formation back, and let's go in even if we draw 2, lose 1, win 1 of the last 4 games. As long as we're playing attacking football and we're going to sub Bristol or Coventry or whoever it is that finishes 5th, they're like, yeah, I don't fancy this lot.
Yeah, Dermot. Apart from
Yeah,
having a pint of Roker Raw Pale Ale, what are you looking forward to from those two
um,
games?
from those 2 games coming up that I'll be at, a bit of attacking football, a bit more form. Yeah, we just need a bit of form, as Gav says. We don't need to win anything, but it doesn't matter. The results don't matter. It's getting these players built up, getting some players back from injury. Be nice to see Mundell before the end of the season. Get 45 minutes or 90 minutes or whatever. I think he's going to be important. I'd like to see Wilson Isidore score a goal or 2 as well, or Mayenda. We haven't scored a goal from open play for I don't know how many games it is, 4 games or something now. We haven't scored a goal in open play. We're not playing very well. So yeah, any kind of improvement on form, any kind of move to the more dynamic attacking play we've been talking about, and get Chris Rigg out the team and give him a rest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you both mentioned there that uh, it's not about results anymore; it's about performances. But in recent weeks, like players like Trey Hume, I remember off the top of my head, they were saying the opposite. They were saying like it's all about results, not about performance. kind of because they sensed that the fans were getting a bit frustrated with the way we were playing. So it's kind of interesting that you fellas are saying the opposite to what the players seem to be thinking, that it's about results, it's not about performances. I think the opposite. I think it's about performances, especially going to the playoffs. We need to see a bit more positivity, a bit more attacking, and a bit more momentum. Because I was listening to going to give Graham a shout from What the Fork podcast. He was saying that Southampton last year, when they got to the
Yeah,
playoff final, I think
I read that. Yeah.
they had a poor start of the season, but then I think like they won three out of the last four games, and then in the end they got up through the playoffs. So I think that momentum does count, doesn't it?
I mean, look, and I think momentum, as much as anything, is going to come from the performances as results. I think the last 3-4 games before this week, it was about making sure that we were 100% going to be in the playoffs. I mean, it's been a foregone conclusion for a couple of months that we were going to be there. But I think just until you're statistically sure of a playoff position, then the results are more important than the performance. Now, I think this is the ideal opportunity to kind of reset the kind of like the dour stuff that we've been playing and look more towards the quicker attacking football that we were playing. So I think it's all about performance now, and if we can get results out of that at the same time, then that's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you really want to go in the playoffs on the back of 3 dull 1-0 wins,
No. Well, I mean, I remember it reminds me of the Jack Ross season in League One when we had we got to the final somehow, but I mean, in the end, we weren't playing well, so hopefully we don't
yeah,
have
I
a
don't
repeat
think I
of
can
that.
take another last-minute defeat at Wembley.
No, no, not at all.
Oh, but 2
Oh,
years ago, 2 years ago we were playing well. We were firing ourselves into the playoff last minute. Came in sixth position on the last game of the season, and then we bloody couldn't beat Luton, could we? Because we didn't have a squad left. We didn't have a team. So
Yeah, I mean, we had what?
very different. There's a lot. Well, we didn't have a forward or a centre half, did we? In that
Yeah.
second game against Luton, and there's lots of ways to get into playoffs. We've known we're in the playoffs for a long time. There's a lot of people say, "Oh, the team who has momentum in sixth or fifth," but actually the statistics show that it's normally the team in third or fourth who go up because they've been the better team over the whole season, and when it comes to the playoffs, they're the better team. So we know we're the fourth best team. We know we can almost certainly say now that the favourites to get to the Wembley final is going to be Sunderland and Sheffield United, because it's almost certain that Sheffield United are going to be third. And I fancy us against Sheffield United. So if they get some momentum together, get some players back, win that semi-final against whoever it is, Bristol City, West Brom, Middlesbrough, don't know who are, Coventry. Everyone's worried about Coventry. I don't know why. I think the chances are we'd have a final against Sheffield United. And I think we've been a better team against them twice already this season.
well,
Yeah, I
fingers
think
crossed.
if Burnley had been the team finishing third and had were missing out, I'd have been a bit more concerned about them because of their defensive stability. I think Sheffield, I mean, they've conceded not many fewer than us. They've just been on the ball clinical up front. Yeah, like I look at the teams below us who are fighting for that last spot, and you've got Bristol, Coventry, West Brom, and Borough. Maybe Millwall if they're on 60 points as well. So it's one of 5 teams, and I don't really have any worries about those 5 teams over 2 legs.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens then. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there because Dermot, you were starting to talk like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee from the Transformers there, mate, with your connection problems. So, but anyway, mate, have a good time in England. Enjoy the 2 matches. Gav, thanks for coming on, and I'll see you again soon. All right, how are the lads?
Are the lads?
Go ahead, lads.